Red states hitting back over Biden's border crisis. Florida is now suing to stop catch and release. That comes amid another massive group of migrants, some 20,000 strong, is getting ready to head to the U.S. And while the White House says the border is closed, the migrants are saying otherwise.
I would like a set of message for Biden because Haiti more difficult.
Will you go back to Haiti?
No, never.
No.
Never.
So many ironic things that are going on in our country right now. You know, we say that we want people to come into the country because of humanity, because these people come from really rough places around the world. I've traveled around, we all have, we've seen it. And we empathize with where they are. But the way this is set up at the border right now is anything other than humane. I mean, you're luring them across the border thinking they can just come on in, which they can. But what happens in the meantime? Child trafficking, fentanyl coming in by the bale, as we would say in the country right now. You know, women being raped and assaulted as they come across, and they're willing to give all that up and put themselves in that kind of danger to have a shot at America. But we're not handling it correctly, so we see this carnage continuing to go on, and it's heartbreaking. Dan, how do you view what's going on down there?
You know, you brought up the word irony and the tragedies that came from fentanyl, again, women being sexually abused, kids being trafficked. And I thought one of the most tragic ironies of all was the day they closed the legal border in Del Rio, the port of entry and the bridge, to legal people who come here legally to work, cross the border, truckers. That was closed because 20,000 people decided to enter illegally, who ironically got in before the legal truckers got in. They didn't open up the checkpoint until weeks later. Think about it for a second. Everyone at home like processes horse blinders for a minute, right? People walked up to our fictitious, there's no southern border. Please, let's stop the nonsense. You walked up illegally, you got in the country quicker than a trucker who works for a living with that pass, that global entry pass. He had to wait 2 weeks or drive to a port entry 90 miles down the road. Not if you're here illegally. Right. The most tragic irony of all.
You're penalized. You're penalized for doing it correctly.
Why would you do it correctly? Be an idiot. Just walk in illegally. What's the point?
Friends of mine who are immigrants to this country, built businesses here, friends of mine around the United States, nobody hates illegal immigration more than legal migrants. They hate it more than anybody. Dana, do you have any stories of folks that you know?
Well, Peter is an example, but not a great example. He's an example. Look, he came here, he did it legally. It took years, and you know, he's an educated person. We have resources. We had we had internet access. We could go through. I could call up the congressman, and they'd take my call, and that's how we were able to do the system. And I remember saying to Peter at one point, you can imagine why people do this illegally, because we're educated people, and it's completely difficult for us to figure out. So the legal immigration system needs attention desperately, and all of this illegal activity is making increases in legal immigration much, much harder. I also believe that there's something we need to remember. The criticism from the left about Obama as deporter-in-chief and now Biden as somebody they think it's horrendous that he sent some of the young people, the single men, back to Haiti. They think that is like human rights violation. So where we have a thought of like we should have a legal order, I think we need to understand they're being pulled in a completely different direction. And one of the things is President Biden, when he campaigned, he was the moderate guy. Return to normal, everything's going to be calm. But if you look at some of the policies that he's put forward and then the legislative initiatives, he has moved left. So watch this space pretty closely.
Well, Jesse, American citizenship, the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, these are things that you earn. These are things that our forefathers have earned, all the men and women that have died to keep those rights alive. Does the world want those things? Yes, they do, because they don't have those things, the right to pursue happiness. They don't have the right to do anything. That's why they want to come here. But it is unfair to the people that do it correctly. How do we explain this to migrants that come over here and go through the paperwork like Dana said? How
well,
do we make
no
that make
one
sense?
pursues happiness more than you, John Rich.
That's a fact.
So you are a beacon shining that light to the world.
I'm a professional pursuer.
That is true. I did find it ironic you brought up irony that the illegal immigrant was wearing a Biden-Harris T-shirt. I haven't seen an American this year wear a Biden-Harris T-shirt. It's the first time.
I have.
So
It says something on top of Biden.
Yeah,
you can't repeat
can't
that
say it
the
on
air.
television,
No.
right?
FCC rules.
Here's why the Biden game is so stupid. They went out last week, the stiff at DHS, and says the border's closed. Then they go on Fox News Sunday with Wallace, and they said, oh, yeah, you know, all those Haitians that were down at that tent city, we let 12,000 of them in.
Right.
We flew 4,000 back to Haiti. They bid our agents on the flight, but we let 12,000 in. So I'm not great at math. That's why I'm here on Fox. But if that's what, 2/3 of the border is open, according to those statistics. And that's why people keep coming. And now there's another caravan, 16,000 strong, forming in Panama, coming up through Colombia and Guatemala and into Mexico. No one's stopping these caravans.
Right.
Wasn't Harris supposed to go down there and get to the bottom of the root causes?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Mr. Diplomat, Joe Biden? He hasn't stopped a damn thing. And now all these people here, they're supposed to report to a court date. They're not going to report. They're going to flee, and he's not going to deport them. You can now commit assault. You can, as an illegal Haitian, hit Jesse Waters in the head with a baseball bat, and Joe Biden won't deport you under his own rules. We'll probably give that guy a Congressional Medal of Honor.
Well, Jessica, listen, you don't like seeing what you're seeing either. Nobody can look at Del Rio, Texas under the bridge and go, wow, that's great. I mean, nobody likes that. I don't care what your politics are. That is inhumane, the position that they're in. So why do we not close the border?
Well, they have moved very quickly to get those 30,000 people that were under the bridge. I mean, that took, 2 days in the end once it started getting media
Because they just let them all in. It's easy to let people in, Jessica.
I was going to say,
I
with
have
the
not
closed border,
been-
there is no 30,000.
I understand that, and I just wanted to say that President Obama finally weighed in on this. He hadn't said anything for a long time. Jay Johnson, who was the DHS secretary, had talked about it, and he finally said it's time to do something. And he brought back up comprehensive immigration reform, which both sides always pay lip service to. But I'm wondering if him weighing in will tilt the balance a little bit. To Jesse's point, I actually carry a Biden-Harris bag. You see it every day, and you sit next to me for an hour.
I've noticed it.
Just come downtown, and you'll see Biden swag everywhere.
I don't go downtown.
Come down to
fun.
Florida.
They don't like me
You
down
see a
there.
lot of Biden swag, but again, it has the wrong word in front of Biden.